Hey everybody, it's Preston. Thanks for coming over. Hello, Carrie Stewart and Gotham Knight. And man, I've taken on a Thursday night D&D commitment, and that's really been playing hell because on Wednesday nights I do the writers group, and then I got the Thursday nights, but I got to get like last week in. Well, it's not last week in Comics Kid anymore, is it? So, but I got to get that out. I was up till 3 in the morning putting together that video, but I think it came together okay. Hope you guys like the new backgrounds I'm using there. There's been a lot of new covers with the White Lily retail stuff and so on. And speaking of new covers, let me pull up the campaign I'm about to launch. I got my book. Oh, awesome! Did you have you looked through it? Did you get the variant cover of Guinevere 2? I can't get it. I can't get into it. I'm sorry. I don't. Or what is Carrie not able to get into? Oh, well, clearly you're able to get into White Lily, but whatever the other one is, I'm sorry about that. But yes, here we are live. At some point, I need to get a better capture card. But oh yeah, I haven't launched it yet. I'm gonna launch it live here in like 14 minutes. So I'm just trying new stuff. But yeah, White Lily 5. I'm gonna start showing some images. Let me pull up the cover. Dun, da, da. And we're going to do, now in general, the whole print run on White Lily 5 is going to be pretty small because I'm not going to need to print a bunch because of the quarantine. Like comic book shows are just gone. And, they're probably not coming back in the next couple of months. So, all right, there's the main cover. And, now that the story's done in all 5 books, I'm going to be, going to trade paperback pretty soon. Wait, here we go. All right, there we are. So I'm going to share this. Share screen. Application window. There it is. So here we go. This is the cover of White Lily 5 that will be going up on Kickstarter. So in just a few minutes, I think it's very touching. I think this was an image I had in my mind for years. So that's Whiskey Paint who was able to do that. That's the guy who did the chain that binds cover for Guinevere. And you notice there in the top left, we got the new Pocket Jacks logo, which does include here. I will show you much reeing. But if we go here and in the top left and over here, there it is. So Pocket Jacks Comics. This will be the book that I submit to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office as proof of use. So there you go. And it's going to be proof of use not because there's a Kickstarter and I'm raising money for it, because it's going to be proof of use because the book will actually exist and I'm going to ship it. So there's that. Very nice. Thank you. So yeah, so that's the variant, and I'm only going to print up 100 of these. And then here, let me show you the other main cover. And the main cover itself is also going to be pretty special because, again, since I'm not doing a lot of conventions anymore, and I'm pretty soon going to be going into just doing the trade paperback. So probably the main cover of this one's only going to have like a couple of 100 copies or so. So this cover has made it's the first comic book of Comicsgate, and there's only 100 copies to it. So it's I can't make promises, but I think this one's gonna be a winner in terms of whether it will appreciate. Yeah, I think the 100 will sell fast. Now on Guinevere, the last time when I did the chains that bind cover, those sold out in 72 hours. So, if we just look at the past, well, then, you probably have some time this weekend. But I did have one guy already contact me who was like a Kickstarter backer, and he's working right now. And can't find the link to the comic. Hold on, let me go find that for you. But he was like, he was really concerned that he was going to miss out, but I don't think they're going to sell out that fast. But yeah, this should be a pretty collectible book. And I've been putting a lot of time into design and thinking about what I want to offer my customers. And like, look, I got some people who just want value. They want they want a good book for a good price. And for those people, I offer, like, when I was doing White Lily 4, you could get that book, which is a beautiful book, delivered to your doorstep for $8 domestic. So, that's value. But then I also have other customers, and those customers want early access and special exclusive covers and be treated special. So I'm doing one campaign for, like, my first class customers. We're looking at an airline. I'm going to call you my aces in the hole. We're going to continue with the poker analogy. So for my ace customers, they're going to get 100 copies of that Comicsgate White Lily 5 cover. But then the main cover, I think that's going to be a great value as well. So there you go. That's White Lily 5, and probably going to end up pricing this one at $15, which includes shipping. And there'll probably only be a print run of a couple hundred on those. But for the people who get in on this campaign, well, you'll get the comic book first, so you'll know how the story ends, weeks before everybody else. So okay, yeah, well, okay, all right, hold on, let me find. I tell you what, let me find promotion. Let me find a link that works here for people. Pre-launch page. All right, so here's the link. Now, when I go live, obviously it'll just be up, and that link will be easier. But here, I'm going to drop this link. Let me see. Does that work? Are we happy with that? Let me know if that works or doesn't work. White Lily anime when? Boy, that is a good question. I haven't really been contacted by any anime companies, but now obviously this White Lily 5 cover here is a bit of a head scratcher, and because it has not been superhero based, up until now. It's in fact been pretty gritty and sticking to elements of realism and whatnot. When I went back to the very first script, hey, you know what? Kickstarter is the preferred platform of Comicsgate. So yeah, why wouldn't you use Kickstarter? It's obviously a good platform. But let's see, where was I? Oh yes, going back to, like, White Lily in terms of, like, writing the screenplay. I started out, the very first thing I wrote was the ending, and the ending was, I included some kind of supernatural elements, but then I got notes about, like, no, you probably, you need to make this kind of more of a grittier war story. So, but this is comic books, but I don't want to give away what's, because a lot of people have been holding themselves in suspense and, like, not reading about the historical figure, because you should try and contact the studio called Trigger. Okay. I don't know anything about them, but I will certainly do that. I will absolutely do that. If point me in that direction, and I will send. And I think, I believe, as a former screenwriter, now comic book creator, that comic books are far more compelling to studios. If you can send out, like, a book and you've got the pretty graphics and whatnot, I think that's simply more compelling to producers than a bunch of lines of text on a page. So anyway, so there's the main cover. That's going to be the campaign we do after the variant cover campaign. And then the letterer, which, like the quarantine and stuff, our initial letterer kind of he dropped off. And that's the problem with working on the internet, is you don't know what happened. I mean, maybe he's a good, dependable guy, but with, like, the quarantine and whatnot, maybe he lost access. I don't know. But Lucas Gattoni stepped up. Like, we gave him this project 2 days ago, and he's already lettered, the covers and the first 5 pages. So here is page 1, and we have the high school giant robot version. Can I just back this thing already? Sure thing. It's coming up. By the way, you are a returning customer of mine. How have the last few books been working out for you? I hope those have been working out okay. And so here we go for everybody who knows how White Lily 4 ended. It ends with this definitive statement from Katya of I go to Kursk, because I have her right talking in this very clipped accent. And it was funny. She talks a bit like my Armenian dentist, who I saw. Like I was walking down the street, and my dentist pulls in front of me. Her name is Irina, and she's like, "Oh hi, where is your mask?" And I always think of like I've hung out with a lot of Armenians in Los Angeles, and it's interesting to have an Armenian dentist here in Dallas because there aren't that many Armenians comparatively. But I do kind of like that cadence of talking and leaving out the articles and whatnot. So I did give Lilia that figure of speech. But here we all right, 5 minutes till we launch it. I haven't read a single issue yet. Okay. All right. Well, now is your opportunity. The issues 1 through 4, there's a reward level where you can get that, but obviously on Kickstarter you can't do multiple rewards, but they will be available as add-ons. So there you go. But yeah, here's the open of issue 5. So like I said, in issue 4, it's Lilia's declaration that she's going to Kursk, and then here she is now with Katya, and we're just opening up with them saluting, kind of reporting for duty, and we can see in the dialogue that Katya has come along in order to protect her. So this is setting up going into our story. And let me pull up issue 2. Now, for those of you who don't know, rape was pretty common in the Red Army, particularly as they marched towards Germany. They certainly weren't sparing much of the civilians. But the one historian's description was that rape was as common as the cold in the Red Army. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that because these were women serving in a very male-dominated area, but at the same time, these are our main characters and we love them. So it was trying to decide how to do it. So instead, I have it just be the daydream of the commander. So they are reporting to Lev Shestakov, who is an actual historical figure. I don't know if he had shaved sides like this. I did give the artist the come to think of it, I think he did, because I provided the photo reference. So I guess he was kind of ahead of his time in that regard. I don't know if his hair was that long and droopy, but somebody else, a friend of mine named Paul, who did a couple of reviews on my channel, talked about was that when he was in the military, one of the things you could do was go where they were kind of having like the lady boot camp, and they would be holding these ladies in formation. And you could just heckle and say the most horrible things to them, and they had to just stand there at attention. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to use that. So I have them standing here at attention as the colonel and captain are talking about them in these very degrading ways, and he's fantasizing about her in a very degrading way. And that's as close as I got to really addressing what was quite a problem there in regards to the problematic sexual politics of the Red Army there on the Eastern Front during World War II. So I hopefully that's not too strong. Again, it's just the private sadistic fantasy that the colonel is having here about what he wants to do to them, and that's as far as it goes. But okay, let's see, we got the launch coming up here in 2 minutes. Let's see, do people want to see page 3, or should I stop? Any comments? Any questions? I haven't read a single. Okay, well, and what's stopping you? What's stopping you from reading? I give out PDFs all the time for free. I even give them to people who are like sitting there heckling me on Twitter, like, you can't write. I'm like, you haven't read my stuff. They're like, yeah, but I don't like, here, I'm giving you my comics. There you go. Go read them and then come back and tell me I can't write. I can't imagine. This is why for so long the idea of women serving was something they were not sure of. Yeah. I mean, particularly when you're out there, and I remember there was a movie a few years ago, The General's Daughter. But when you are in an environment where power is an issue and men can take advantage. So yeah, it's certainly a problem. And it certainly was a problem for the Red Army. How we're going to deal with it in modern times? Well, hopefully, in modern times, people will be less restrained. But of course, we haven't had a major war yet, so we haven't had people out in like remote, isolated areas. But all right, let's see. It's 1:15. Let's get this party started. I'm going to go down here. Prepare to launch. I have read the terms. Launch now. Congratulations. Okay, so let me share this tab. Let's see how we're doing here. Gonna close this. I'm gonna go here. So there we go. Here's White Lily issue 5, make 100 up on. Yeah, it's only a 1-week campaign. I will put out a notification here to my email list in just a bit. I do try to give out the numbered certificates. So for one of 100, I do number them, 1, 2, 3, and I do try to give them out in order of backing, so that way, if you're like first in, then you're first in. And come to think of it, I'm gonna have to send a message real quick to my friend and one of my very best customers, because he likes to get in early. So let me go send him a message here on Facebook. And he got number 1 of the chain of the chain, the blind cover, and I know that was a big treat for him. Hold on, let me send this message real quick. Then I will look through my chats. That I see we already have a backer, so that's good. Oh, here I will go ahead and post this also to White Lily Comic. Fair enough. I kind of want. I'm glad. Now, out of curiosity, is there something special about the fact that it's like a limited series that makes you just want to like sit and do it all at once, as opposed to if it were a continuing run? Are you kind of treating it differently because it's a limited series? I'm just curious as to how the consumers view limited series as being different. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go here and I will post to the Kickstarter. 100 copies of this exclusive cover to Facebook. I'm going to start doing a lot more on Facebook here, because people have been sending me books to read about how to market on Facebook. So now I'm hopefully going to be getting better at it, because up until now, Facebook has been really just mysterious to me. It seems like this place where you pay money for ads and not much happens. So I don't know, but been doing a lot more. Oh, gotta get my wallet. Okay. I let the new chapters of manga pile up for weeks of binge reading. New Comicsgate is a good thing. I can't wait till they realize. Yeah. These predictions they've made are not going to go well for them. So if we pay $17 on the first perk, we get all 5. Okay, let me look. All right, so perk number 1 is all right. So perk number 1. All right, so there's the $5 PDF perk, and then the only White Lily 5s I'm offering are going to be the 100. So this reward tier right here for $35, which already has 11 backers. Cool. So this tier right here is my White Lily 5 offering. So if you get that, then tack on an extra $20 if you want 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you will have the complete series. So hopefully that answered your question. Awesome. Thank you so much. So yeah, it's I haven't even put it out to the email list. We already got 11 backers. That's pretty cool. The very first Comicsgate book, one of 100 exclusive, and this is really pretty. I you know, there's a fair amount of violence suggested here on the cover, and I think we're all aware that the Eastern Front was a very dangerous time, and that we're following historical accounts of two people, so who did serve in two of the like the biggest, and Stalingrad is like the deadliest battle in human history, I believe, and then Kursk was the largest air and armor engagement in human history as well. So these are two huge battles, and these two women served in both of them. So I was always wondering how to best do justice to their memory. I know I caught some flack because I have elements of a relationship, but at the same time, like, historical figures had sex and relationships and all that. So I don't exactly understand why there was so much pearl clutching about, like, oh my God, yeah, it's and these days I think we are more open about our sexuality and dating and what we're doing and out there, and I think we're just naturally more curious as to what these figures were doing historically. So I had to do some speculating there. Sorry if it offended some people. Like, I know a lot of people were freaking out about the cover of White Lily 4, but it sold pretty well. New backer. Let's see how many backers we got. Let's check in here real quick. 6 back. 14. Well, we are moving on up. Fantastic. I'm really glad that I'm going to be. Thank you. So I'm really glad to see this book coming to an end. This was a labor of love. It doesn't sell as well as Guinevere and the Divinity Factory, which has more traditional comic book elements. You got the sexy woman with the cleavage, and she can do magic, and the elements of the supernatural and demons, and like I designed the Guinevere story to be more commercially successful, which it is. But White Lily, I really felt like these two women needed to have their story told, and I wanted to do the best job I could in bringing that to life, because it really spoke to me. Like, this image here of White Lily 4, that cover with her, it's about her quest for purpose at a time when the world is just collapsing, and that spoke to me at the time I was writing it. And a lot of people, I think, get these feelings of being lost or displaced, or essentially they feel like they don't fit into the world. And I wanted to write a book about someone who didn't fit in, because she's a Jew at a time when being a Jew was very unpopular, not only in the Nazis that she's fighting, but also in the Soviet Union. She was under Stalin, and Stalin did not like the Jews at all. He actually attempted to send them off to concentration camps later on, but he suffered a stroke and died, which kind of, otherwise there might have been a whole second Holocaust there. But yeah, Stalin was not a friend of the Jews, so she is very much an outsider. And her father died in the Purge, so she understands that the communist government is brutal. She doesn't have any naive beliefs in that regard. She's a very jaded figure who doesn't fit into the world, but at the same time she's finding some sense of purpose in kind of the darker thoughts and the darker drives that she has for vengeance and revenge. And on the cover of White Lily 5 here, let me go back and show that again, because somebody got it on Twitter when I first showed this cover. Let me see if I can pull it up. Well, so once you turn into a lesbian. Yeah, and that's what I'm going to start doing, is now that I've told the historical story, and spoiler, I do stick pretty close to history. If you go through, a lot of people will come and they'll read it, and then they'll go, wow, and they'll ask me about some element, and they'll be like, oh, you made up this part, right? I'm like, no, that actually happened. Like, for instance, she did beat her dogfight instructor like the very first time, as I show in issue 1. She was the very first woman to shoot down an enemy plane. which I show in issue 2. She was shot down herself on a few occasions, which I show in issue 3. The man that she was in love with, he ends up, all of these things that are so dramatic and so cinematic actually really happened. And that's why I'm like, someone needs to make this movie, because this woman's life was just so amazingly cinematic. So I saw an opportunity and I took it. Although other people are still thinking, well, maybe it's not much of an opportunity. But I think this story has legs, and I believe we are at the start of something that is going to really grow. But now that I've told the historical story, now I'm going to kind of maybe start telling, kind of more interesting and certainly more easily saleable in a comic book market. But yeah, when I first posted this on Twitter, they're like, oh wow, that's Lilia as death. I'm like, yes, that is exactly what that is. That is Lilia as, basically the figure of death. And I've always given her a fire motif. If you go to page 1, link in the description is bad. Okay, I will update that. But if you go to page 1, issue 1, she opens up blazing up a cigarette in the middle of a bombing raid. All right, how do I fix the description? Maybe I can do that through YouTube. Hold on. I'm not a big live streamer. I prefer to just sit back and record my stuff and put them out there. But I'm trying to do more audience interaction things. And Zombie, I haven't had a chance to listen to you talk about whatever you were doing over on the Corona Kings launch, but from what I hear, that was a pretty riveting discussion. So hold on, let me go into my videos here and change the link in the description. It's not even present. All right. So what is not even present on my Kickstarter page? I'm not sure. Yeah, let me know. Let me know what it is that's not present. Meanwhile, let's check in over here. How am I doing? I got 19 backers. All right, climbing. I feel pretty confident all 100 books are going to sell, so that's not going to be an issue. So that's good. And then live. Hold on. Let me edit this link. Edit title and description. All right, so there, I just updated the description, which should update for what you see. So hopefully that link will work better. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, as I've already kind of alluded to, like everybody knows, because of, all the Ethan Van Sciver and friends, they're always trying to silence their critics in whatever way they can. I'm pretty sure that everyone's already gone over my background in immense detail. So far, the only thing they've really found to attack me on is my family has money, which yes, that is true. And we're pretty well positioned for this downturn. It's all in residential real estate. If we were in like retail or something like that, that would be an issue. But retail has been going down for a while. Unfortunately, this, as I was saying, this quarantine is really hitting the areas that were already under pressure from the internet. So the internet is kind of still strong, and Amazon's doing great, but like the retail spaces and the malls and all that, well, they are continuing to get hammered. And I don't know how to fix that, but this quarantine is probably going to be just brutal to the retail environments, and certainly like restaurants and those kind of. I went out on a date with a lady who was an accountant, and she's like, all of my customers who are in like the restaurant business, they're having to sell houses and sell properties just in order to try and pay them their leases while they have no customers. It's just a really sad situation, and I don't know that it's going to magically spring back once businesses reopen, which was supposed to happen today here in Texas, but I drove around and so far it has not. So yeah, retail spaces have been on a slow death march since the 1990s. I don't know, but I am offering, and I'll go ahead and tell you now. I've reached a deal with Red 5. It's a small little company here in Texas to distribute White Lily in comic book stores, and I am offering them exclusive retail covers. So all of these comic books that I'm selling, there are exclusive covers which I won't be selling. I won't even have access to them, and you will have to order those through your local comic book store. So I'm trying to do my part to help out everybody. Oh, awesome! Yeah, it's I I'm glad, and like both stories, I think have their merits, but White Lily is I think like a I think it's certainly stronger in terms of well, yeah, I just think it's a stronger story. I just look at Guinevere as more like, well, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some magic, some fun in a magic, sexy universe, but yeah, I'm glad that White Lily has grown on. It's kind of an acquired taste. I talked to a lot of people at comic book shows and whatnot, and maybe they'll buy issue one, but like the next time I see them, they'll come back and buy like 2, 3, and 4 or something. Like, wow, they really get hooked. It's the fact that this actually historically happened. Just gives it an authenticity that you're not going to find anywhere else. And these were amazing women, and they did some very amazing things. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I mean, from what I understood, and I know I'm gonna mangle this last name, and I'm sorry, I know he's a comics great, and I should know how to pronounce his name, but like Jim Stranko or whatever. But he's a big name. From what I understand, he made a recent prediction that basically the big two, if you will, are gonna have some pretty drastic cutbacks on their staff, and that a lot of those people are going to go into crowdfunding because look at Todd McFarlane has made like $2 million, and being kind of the indie comic book creator has always been a pretty lucrative proposition. Even like Dave Sims with Cerebus, that was never like a huge seller, but it was fairly consistent and slowly tapered off over time. But he was always, splashing cash whenever he would go to comic book shows, and there are certainly a lot of success stories there, far more than when it comes to people who just work for Marvel and DC and just collect a paycheck and then retire. Typically you hear stories about how those people, well, in retirement, they maybe don't quite have enough money, despite the fact that they were creating some great things. Well, yes, unfortunately. I certainly do my best to appeal to the historical people, but I'm amazed at how many people just don't care about history. It's like, oh, whatever. But yeah, I think I'm glad that there are people out there who have a flair for history. Yes, and that's what I saw. I looked at this woman and I'm like, she is this broken woman who did just absolutely amazing things, and I think that is as true to life a portrait as I could do it. I mean, like, look, she was a young woman whose father was taken from her in the purge. So her dad was killed by her own government, which she then had to serve uh, in the Air Force. And that's, I mean, well, what kind of a story can you go with from that? But this very wounded woman who is going on to do some great, fantastic things. Yeah, and there's no middleman really. So there's the model of the future in terms of comic books. I don't know, but the internet space seems like it's going to get bigger, and that's why I'm happy we're here. And I know that Ethan is like, yes, that means more people are going to join me. Like, well, you got Dan Fraga, so good job there, I suppose. But that whole Ethan drama circus just feeds on itself, and I think other people can see it. And besides, it's not like Todd McFarlane or anybody who has a big name really needs Ethan's blessing. Now, when it comes to like your smaller comic creator, and that's always been supposedly the promise is, oh, hey, come here, and like Ethan will give you a bunch, but often for a lot of people, a bunch doesn't necessarily amount to much. Like if you're not participating in a lot of the drama, then even if you call yourself comics gay, like I saw one on Twitter yesterday that was like they made $5,000 or something, and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, that's not bad, but that's certainly not like FU money or the money that's supposed to be given to small creators. let's check in and see how our White Lily is doing. Let's see how many we have now. 21 backers. Awesome. So I would say the launch is successful. Well, yeah. As Dynamite is part of Comicsgate, according to Ethan, although according to Road, Dynamite is not part of Comicsgate. But, they certainly have a very cozy relationship. And, I mean, look, if it's anything like the relationship I have with Absolute, which I got to think it kind of is, I mean, you're basically contacting them and saying, I want to buy, so many copies of a print run and that has my cover on it. So, like, what is Dynamite supposed to say no if somebody's like, hey, I'll take, like 1,000 books or 5,000 books or whatever. So I can't necessarily fault them for that, but it does seem to be like Dynamite is increasingly becoming, it seems like, I feel like, kind of Ethan and Friends company. Like, he's doing it, then he got Anna to do it, and I was like, hey, Ro, you want to do it? It's like, pretty soon, like, everybody who's in Ethan's orbit is going to end up with a Dynamite cover, which is going to be kind of weird. Yes, there are 6 days left on this campaign, because these 100 covers are going to sell out, I think, fairly quickly, and then I didn't want the campaign to just be going down the road without the main reward on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this campaign and then I'm going to turn it around pretty quickly. I should probably have this campaign fulfilled within like 3 weeks or so, and then I'm going to immediately launch the main cover of White Lily issue 5. So that was my plan here. Let me know if you thought that was a good idea or a bad idea, but I'm trying to think of, okay, what am I going to provide for my ace in the hole customers, the guys who are willing to pay extra money to get exclusive access earlier. And so I came up with, how about, kind of a small campaign for a limited number of copies of a cool looking cover that is going to be delivered before the main campaign. So that's what I came up with. Let me know if that appeals to you or doesn't appeal to you. Because again, I'm just trying to best serve the customers that want to come spend money on me. Could I pick up the whole series with? Yes, absolutely. The whole series will be available as the next campaign. And then penciling has already started on Guinevere and the Divinity Factory issue 3. So what I'm planning on doing is, okay, we're going to do this Make 100 campaign for White Lily 5. Then I'm going to fulfill that and then launch into a main campaign for White Lily 5. Then the next campaign will be Guinevere 3. And then after that, I'm going to go into the White Lily 5 trade paperback. So, because I want to make people wait a little bit to incentivize you to get the actual comic book. But then the White Lily 5 trade paperback will be coming probably, towards the fall. And I'm I got high hopes on that one. And that will be the complete story all in one source, in one book, price $20-25 somewhere in there. Not sure who shadow banned you on Hut's channel, but I know it wasn't me. I don't know who Lorenzo is talking about. Is it parody comic? Sure. I mean, are you talking about the first book I certified was Robotoad Wrecked Manlet, which John Delarose was pretty happy. Is that what you're referring to, or were you talking about something else? Oh, okay. So this cover right here is the alternative cover. So hold on, let me stop sharing. All right, so all right. This is the variant cover, which I'm only doing 100 copies of, is this cover right here. And by the way, I forgot to mention, this is going to be like 40 interior pages. So there's going to be, it's a pretty good value because that's almost to the magical 48 page that, all the comics gators will charge $25 for a pop. But I had a lot of story to shove into issue 5. When it comes into comic book stores, they may actually end up breaking it down into 6 issues because issue 5 ended up being so big. But that's the variant cover here. And then here is the what we're going to call the main cover, which I was really pleased with how that turned out. Yeah, I mean, whenever I'm writing, it always has to be something deeper. I don't even know how to write just like somebody does something. I remember when I was sitting in script group back in Venice Beach, California. People would come in and they would like present stories, but it was like this is my Michael Bay movie or my whatever, and there would be these big combat scenes leading up to thus and so, and like a lot of times I would just feel like the story was empty. So I like to try and explore more kind of emotional, personal elements because to me I think that's what bonds you to the character. So I'm always going a bit deeper when it comes to that. Yes, you absolutely will get will get your copy before Walmart. I would never betray you like that. For that matter, you will get, if you back the variant cover, you will get it before the main cover launches. So thank you so much. Yeah, it's I yeah. Well, yes, I was also sad to see it end, but this cover here, or the image of Lilia as Flaming Death, is going to be something I'm going to spin off into its own comic book, and that will be in the open license universe. So hopefully, we will see kind of the character of Lilia as a superhero take off. So that will allow us to explore the character in a non-historical setting. So now we're not, bound to, the events of her life and what she led. Instead, those will just serve as prologue to, kind of a modern interpretation of a superhero character. Yes, there will be a White Lily trade paperback. Again, I'm going to launch that somewhere in the fall. It'll be the complete story, and $25 gets you the whole story. But you have to wait till the fall if that's what you're going to wait for. Yeah, I think the Comicsgate universe, I have a lot of hopes for. I really believe that this is the future. And even people who are like Ethan fans and just like, come over here and they'll say, you're just, and then, but when it came to the open, shared universe idea and, kind of open license, they're like, that idea is pretty good. So I'm glad even my opponents see an appeal in that one. Oh, cool. We already have our second character contribution to the shared universe. I think it's a good idea. Like I was talking about in the writers group, it allows for people to present basically any character they want. Like if you want to present, Safe Space and Snowflake or whatever, okay, come in and present it, and that's now characters that are out there for anybody to use, which could include someone who wants to write a comic book parody of Snowflake and Safe Space, by the way. And if somebody wants to write, like a comic book parody of, Lilia as, like this Flaming Death character, I can't stop you. That's kind of the whole magic of open license agreements. But it will allow us to kind of survey the universe as it stands and go, where are the stories developing and where are the audience responding to? And it should allow for essentially the audience to vote with their dollars and to tell us, the comic creators, what direction we need to go in. Right. And yeah, and that's the other thing is, particularly when it comes to comic books, I think there are a number of people who I run into who are mainly like visual artists, like they really know how to draw, and they just want to draw stuff, and so they ultimately want to draw Batman, so they make a comic book which is like discount Batman, and the story isn't particularly good, but they're trying to sell it, based on their artistic merits. And I think here we're going to have, the writers writing, and they're going to be introducing cool characters into this shared universe that then the artist can go, oh, I like that, I want to go in that direction. Like somebody could grab Guinevere and say, hey, I want to go this way. And when it comes to like the Rags character, I remember a lot of people were apparently wanted to do, Regina. But I remember Brian Ball, I think it was Brian Ball, was saying that he was not generous when it came to licensing out Regina because he wanted her written a certain way. Well, here, like I by an open universe, I'm taking my hand off the wheel. And if that's something you want to take and you want to go in a direction that I don't even like or approve of, I got nothing to do with that. And so it will allow the visual artists, I think, to have a broader palette to paint from when it comes to telling their stories, which are really there to showcase their artistic abilities. So, all right. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that one, but you can you can contact me and let me know. Discount Batman is a great time. Yeah, that's I'm very proud of my daughter, by the way. She's 18. She has a full scholarship to college for creative writing, which is good because I didn't want to pay for college for creative writing because I think it's something you can do anyway. But since I don't have to pay for it, well, hey, who wants to deny her a college experience? But she has completed a 350-page novel that I'm supposed to be getting today because I'm going to be putting it into InDesign and formatting it to print and sell at comic book shows. So she kind of got the writing bug a way back, and I was really glad. And I think she sees the commercial potential here because she's there. She's seen me, selling White Lily, and she remembers when it was just an idea I was kicking around. So she's seen me take it from idea to actual product you can sell. And I think that's really the whole magic here of lowering the barrier to entry for basically anybody to come into comics. Like to get the certification or participate in the shared universe, like all you got to do is not dox your customers, like deliver your books in a reasonable period of time, and don't participate in online hate mobs because, like, God, these horrible things like that just happened to Vicky yesterday, like these things turn people off. You kind of lose out to the audience. And if the future is going to be in regards to the internet and in terms of comic books, then we have to clean up the space a bit. So I think their gatekeeping is unavoidable, and it is quite frankly a good thing because it protects the consumer. Exactly. Yeah. Non-dox customers is so weird. Yeah. 77 left. Oh wow. Okay. Well, those are moving pretty quick. Let's take a look. Share screen, application window. Oh wait, sorry, tab. So we're gonna here on the tab, share. All right. Yep. Already got 23 backers. So I'm wondering if this is going to sell out. I think this may end up selling out before the weekend is over, which is nice. That's kind of what I was anticipating. And that's why I only put the campaign for 7 days. There were some other books I just threw up here. So that's for $25, which includes delivery. You get just the main cover back issues of White Lily 1 through 4, and yeah, all right. You get the PDF for $5. That's a screaming deal, by the way, because that's 40-page beautiful artwork. Anyway, $5. Sometimes it hurts me to do these things, but okay, yeah. And here's a sketch cover variant. Why is it priced so high? I think that's priced too high. Let me revise this real quick. I think that was a bit of a typo. It shouldn't be 51 for a sketch cover. Yeah. No wonder people aren't getting it. Edit. 51. It shouldn't be 51. What should we price it at? I'm going to price it at 15. Oh, yeah, it was supposed to be $15. $15, not 51. Okay, there we go. And ships anywhere in the world. Okay, save. Hopefully it's saved. Anyway. Let me stop sharing that to everybody. Right, exactly. They retain all rights except for, printing and web comics, so that if you come up with a character, and this is a great incentive, I think, to a writer, because if you come up with a character idea and you put it out there and other people just go crazy with it, and then somebody wants to make a movie, well, you have the exclusive rights when it comes to the movie. Yeah, I know. Yeah, they were shooting and they missed, but still, that's done deliberately to intimidate people and to, like, hey, yeah, okay, here's the woman who spoke out and shut down the ribbit coins. Well, we're going to solve that problem now, aren't we? Anyway, it's that one is, doxing isn't criminal, but this is done for a commercial purpose, and this is getting into certainly some tort law when it comes to unfair competition. But I think that they may be approaching certain, uh, like terroristic threats or whatnot when it comes to criminal law as well. They're treading on some very dangerous territory. Oh, sorry. June, save for. There we go. Now I was able to save it. Okay, view project. There we go. Wait, okay. I've now fixed it. Share screen. Took me a while. I had a boomer moment. But yes, now White Lily 3 sketch cover is $15. So not bad. There you go. All right. Well, the project is well, yes, doxing is against the Twitter terms of service, but what they do is they will, create these, anonymous accounts, and then they will just post, and then they will post the doxing information, and then they'll just tag everybody so that it's out there. And then, yeah, you report the account, you get that shut down, but that didn't matter. So, Ricada tier, I don't. Let's see. They're going to go on about how memes won't send anyone to jail. Yeah, yeah. That, I mean, God, these people. Yes, that they've been doing gay ops for a while, so they're very good at it. People say that there's like the internet blood sports community and whatnot of just people who try and wreck other people's lives, and it's a skill that certain communities have gotten pretty good at. Exactly. You're exceptional, and they'll do that a lot. They'll do like ridiculous, horrible things, and then when you speak out about it, they're like, "Oh, somebody hurt your feelings." They always try and trivialize what is obviously a very real concern. Yeah, exactly. It's not memes, bro. Yeah. Let's see. Can't help the parties. All right, but anyway, so let's see. I've been going for almost an hour, and campaign's launched. When I log out here, I'm gonna send out an email to everybody, let everybody know that's on my email list. But is there any questions for me before I get out of here? Oh yeah, and here's page 3. Now, in the script on page 3, I really just wrote that these two were just going over battle plans, but the artist decided that they would be going over battle plans with Katya not wearing pants and Lily. So they're putting them in more of a, they maybe got kind of frisky situation. That wasn't in the script, but when the pencils came in, I'm like, sure, why not? Yes, if this was high school, there would be a lot of thank you so much. And I appreciate you being a fan and supporting me from very early. I think returning customers coming back are the best endorsement, essentially, that any comic creator can hope for. So here we are, and that is something I should kind of learn. But yeah, like I liked the panties and kind of cleavage element that was added here to page 3, despite the fact it was not in the script. So that's where sometimes an artist will be like, I see a situation. So but here they are kind of going over the battle plans, and of course Katya is reacting because Katya's like, I can't believe they were how horrible they were commanding officers were treating us. But Lilia is always, because she comes from such a broken background, she's such a broken person, she just assumes that this happens. This is just the run of the mill thing. She's like, what, you're still alive. We're about to go into a dangerous situation where you might not be alive anymore if we don't, get to planning. So Lilia is always driving feelings don't matter. It's all about results. And that is essentially her character that hopefully will be making it into the flaming death element. Wait, what is transliterated? That's a big word. But anyway, yeah, maybe we're Russian and sexy is something you don't often see. But it was something here. I'll show you this real quick. Then I'll log off because this was a thing I was thinking about for a while. So this was my first cheesecake thing, which I called. There we go. So I wanted a print that I could sell at comic book shows. It was kind of sexy. So this was what I came up with. Those are pencils and inks by Diana Greenhalgh, who was my original inker and editor on the White Lily project. But we still kind of stuck very close to period costumes and stuff. So like literally we're doing cheesecake stuff and she's wearing boots. And we've got the big oversized shirts that they would have been wearing. All right, we kind of brought it in a little bit on the butt because normally that would actually be way baggier. But I don't know what to call it. Now, what I did here, by the way, I wanted to make it a little bit kind of like classy or subversive or whatever. But here at the top, this is actually a Soviet propaganda style poster where you got the image of the state and just this big, bold, luxurious, dominant image. And then what the topic is, with the Air Force and the pilots, they're shown as these small, inconsequential, easily replaceable, fungible elements. So the top is clearly the state is all that's important and the individuals don't matter at all. But then as we come down here, we have Lilia, who's doing kind of the unintentional sexy thing, which was really big in terms of a bombshell imagery, or or what you would call what is that term for the art that would go on like the nose of a bomber. But where a lot of those images were kind of unintentionally sexy women, like oh wow, my miniskirt blew up over my waist, I had no idea. But then we also have Katya, who's sitting here kind of very coolly like I want that. So down here I'm showing the individual ambitions. Katya has her ambitions for Lilia, and Lilia is painting a kill marker, or she's painting the white lily here on her plane. So Lilia has the ambitions for glory, and Katya has the ambitions for her. So I really wanted this to kind of capture the whole story, basically in one image, and still be very very cheesecakey. So that's what I came up with a couple of years ago. Yeah, there we go. But oh yeah, first example is Vatruska. All right, I'll have to check that out. Vatruska, according to a quick search. Okay, so yeah, Vatruska is Russian cheesecake. So there you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I believe Zombie is in the writers' Discord. So he is there, and he gives great notes. So like you two should definitely talk. But that's AK-47 over there who definitely wants some notes on his script. But there we go. All right, I've been streaming for an hour. Let's check in here one more time and see how the campaign ended up. All right, an hour in, and we got 22 backers. All right, well, looks like we lost one. Oh well, there will be more. It's it's not a frog, it's a cheesecake. Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, it's another successful launch for White Lily. I'm very happy to bring White Lily 5 to this wonderful audience. Oh, hold on. All right, Zombie, can you give him the it? Hold on. I think I have his email as well. Let me look that up real quick. hopefully, hopefully that's okay. There's Zombie's email, and you can contact him and get script notes. So anyway, yeah, exactly. But awesome. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming in. I'm gonna go and pack up some books and ship. I'm not doxing my fans anyway. And I want to thank everybody, and certainly all my returning customers, all my Ace customers. You are the people who I really depend on so much. So this has been Preston Poulter with Pocket Jacks Comics, the leader of Comics Gate, launching our very first Comics Gate book. Thank everyone very much for their time and patronage. So take care, everyone. Have a good day.